Evening, everyone. It is March 19th, 2024. The time is now 6:07. This is the Township of Springfield Board of Adjustment meeting. Adequate notice has been given in accordance with the Sunshine Law. Notice was published on December 13th in the Star Ledger, one of the official newspapers for the Township of Springfield for the year 2023, and posted in the Annex Building on December 14th, 2023. Can we please stand to salute the flag? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. May we please have the roll call?
Mr. Stephen Hochstein?
Here.
Mr. Michael Weckstein?
Here.
Mr. Stephen Birchenbaum? Mr. Raj A. Sahada? Ms. Marla Naparano? Ms. Anika Dotson? Vice Chair Mark Cunningham?
Here.
And Chairwoman Jody Cohen.
Here.
Well, we have a quorum. I almost said motion passes, but wrong.
Excellent. Okay, first order of business are the resolutions for memorialization. We have one for this evening. It's application 2023. I feel like I am so loud in this thing, right? Application 2023-10-266 Mars Avenue LLC. Block 206, Lot 10, the property location 266-268 Mars Avenue for amended site plan approval. Have the board members have an opportunity to review the resolution? Are there any questions or comments from the board? If there are none, is there a motion to approve? I will move to approve.
I'll second.
Chair Jody Cohen?
Yes.
Mr. Michael Weckstein?
Yes.
Mr. Stephen Hochstein?
Yes.
Ms. Naparano? And Vice Chair Cunningham?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Okay, we will move on to the one application that we have this evening. If the applicants can please come forward, I'm calling up application 2024-1. This is 38 Pitt Road, block 1801, lot 43. The request is for a lot coverage variance and a side yard variance for a patio and a generator installation. Good evening, how are you? We're going to swear you in. Are you both going to be, we'll swear you both in just in case you both speak.
Raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth? Yes. Okay, please state your name, spell your last name, and one of us give you the home address.
Louis Guerrero, G-U-E-R-R-E-I-R-O.
Louis Guerrero, G-U-E-R-R-E-I-R-O.
38 Pitt Road.
Thank you.
Please tell us a little bit about what you are looking to do and your reasons for doing so.
Okay. We are here to request various relief for improvements to our property since our last application for a pool we built in 2010. In September of last year, we received a letter from the planning and zoning office describing that exceedance to zoning limits. We respectfully request relief from the exceedance described in the letter. Additionally, our engineer has worked with Mr. Disco to address the recommendation of stormwater mitigation due to the increased coverage. Both engineers are in agreement of the solution. We have extra pavers lot coverage. We have a generator, I guess, that's
It's close to the property line.
line, and we built up a pergola on the backyard.
Okay, so you applied for a pool in 2010. And at the time when you installed the pool, you added additional pavement.
There was a safety reason, because the kids were running back and forth, and we had one kid slip on the grass. Because in our backyard, it was weird, because the pavers ran in the pool, so we had like a space of grass, and that became like a safety hazard. So we added actual pavers, but we didn't know that we needed a permit for that.
Okay.
Now we were over the lot coverage.
And then after you added the pavers, you then added a pergola.
Yes,
Okay. Yes?
and then the generator, backup generator.
And then you added a generator. And the generator's on the side?
Side of the house.
And the generator results in a side yard request of how many feet? I don't know if I am seeing this. Okay. Do we have that calculation, just to be clear for the record?
Do you know how far the side of the generator is from your property line?
I want to say from the property line to the generator, I'm thinking about 6 feet maybe.
Yep. That's accurate.
Okay. And you did indicate on the record just now, just to be clear, that you have spoken to the engineering department and you are going to mitigate runoff for the additional coverage?
Our engineer did it, yes.
Yes. Okay.
If I'm attached to the board with papers.
Do you have the requisite fence around the pool?
We didn't have to do the fence around the pool.
At the
At the time.
time when we did the pool, we already had a fence around our property. So we weren't obligated to do that fence around the pool.
Okay.
But your backyard is fenced? Correct. I have a question about your generator. You did that without a permit? So has anybody checked to see that it was installed properly and that the gas line is right and the electrical connection is safe?
He used to work for a gas company, that's why he did it. He knows how to work with gas.
Okay.
I know the safety reasons.
I would say that if we were to approve this, we would require that a permit and an inspection be part of the process and make sure that,
Paperwork for permits, but I thought I couldn't do that until this is resolved.
understood.
So you filed for the permit?
Not yet, they told me I had to wait.
You held it?
Yes.
Okay.
We did the generator because pit road always loses power. And I was tired of losing power. I have an autistic son, he freaks out.
We actually installed the generator right after Hurricane Sandy.
Okay.
Yeah, the permits are important because on the survey, it looks like it's right up against, you need 18 inches. It's a heat source, so.
Right.
Obviously, the permit process will vet that and make sure that the house doesn't burn down as a result.
And it's not close to a window and
Yeah.
all those other things.
That would be a 5-foot,
So then it has to get, if it has to get moved, it's closer than 6 feet. The 6 feet reduces, right?
How far is the generator from the house? So that means that we may have to change what,
You can anticipate what it is and view it that way. If there's an 8.5-foot setback, if the generator's 2 foot and you got a 1.5-foot, you're down to 5. So I would plan on that.
Right, but then they still would have to move the generator.
They'd have to move the generator, if it's not 18 inches.
No, I'm saying. But that would all come out in the inspection.
And technically, it would come out in plan review.
But, oh,
And if there's a window, we're looking at 5 feet?
Any ventilation source, you gotta be 5 feet away.
Right, so then you're,
they could move it up or back away from the window. They don't have to move it.
leave it right there.
Yeah.
Is there a window or door near the
I
generator?
think there is a window there above the garage.
Is that it next to the garbage cans in the picture? Correct, yes. Yeah, so there's windows right above it.
There's one window right,
Yeah.
not right above it, a little bit to the
Well,
outside.
yeah.
You said that's a garage window?
Clearances don't, it doesn't matter if it's a garage or interior
But it currently sits behind the fence?
It's up against the house.
Is there a picture of it in the application?
Yeah, I'm looking there. This is what I'm looking at. This is not a fence?
There's actually, Jody, there's
You could see it here.
you can see it on this.
Oh, it's here?
It's up close to the driveway on the side of the house, that little white thing.
I got it.
Yeah, that's it,
Okay. It's on
See
the
it right here.
right.
What's on the other side next to behind the fence?
On the other side where the fence is at? Mm-hmm. On the other side, that's the pergola. The black part that you're seeing, I don't know what picture you're looking at.
I think she means at the corner of the house adjacent to your next door neighbor's property, there's something on the ground in the photo, in the aerial view,
Isn't that bushes?
right here, there's something.
You guys looking at this picture?
No,
No, the
I'm
aerial view.
looking at the aerial.
On the, at the corner of the house, there's,
There's a garbage can.
There's garbage cans in front of the,
no,
No.
no, we're
I'm on
talking
the other
about
side
at the
of the
back.
house, next to the driveway of your neighbor's house.
Right rear corner.
That's a, oh, that's the AC unit.
Can I ask Mike a question? Just to be clear, is there, in addition to the lot coverage, is there a
Building coverage?
building coverage variance? Because the chart seems to indicate both.
Yes, it's noted as yes.
Okay.
Building, permitted building coverage is 25%. It was 24.7% existing or 2010 value, and 30.5% now.
Does a pergola count as building?
It has to have a roof to count.
So the record is clear, there are 3 variances needed.
Building coverage, lot coverage, and side yard, right?
Left side yard says.
Did the walkway exist when you, prior to installing the pool?
Yes, we had to redo we actually, when we dug out the pool, we came in through that side of the sidewalk, and then I had to redo the whole sidewalk again.
Any other questions from the board? What's to the left off the house when you're looking at the aerial?
On the left side of the house, you have the sidewalk, and then you have the generator, and then you have, on the back side, you have the fence. That's in the front, facing the front, so it's, my whole backyard is covered with fence on the back. Are you talking about
On the sides?
to the side?
Off of the house?
On the backyard,
Over the pavers? Is that just like a little structure?
That there is not there no more. You were talking about this aerial picture?
Yes.
Yeah, that's not there no more.
That doesn't exist?
No, that was the old pergola that we had, and then we built the new pergola. I don't know if you guys have a picture of it.
No, we don't. Is it a,
If you look at the aerial picture, there's actually a black, if you look at this one here,
Okay, helpful.
that black section there, that's the pergola.
so that's not a, is that a roof or a pergola? So it's a covered.
That's how
it's
the
not a
building
pergola
coverage
anymore.
increased?
So that's why the building coverage is increased.
Makes a lot more
Trying to
sense.
figure out, I'm like, wait, because you were
And
the
then,
prior application, so
sorry.
the prior application, you were at the 40% there, so I'm thinking, well, what changed?
This picture here, you can actually see, this must be an updated picture, because that black thing, that's the roof.
Right, which is, okay, yeah, okay.
So then what's in the rear corner of the property? And I'm sorry that I don't have a,
You mean towards the back side?
Yep.
Where the pool is at?
Mhm.
That is, it's a shed. That's been there.
It's on their survey.
Yeah, we've had that shed since we moved into the house.
okay.
Do you have any issues with the coverage on the property if they do the drywall?
Well, you can obviously mitigate runoff from the coverages. But, you know, it was 40% in 2010, and it was reduced to get there to avoid a variance at the time when lot coverage was permitted at 40%. And then obviously, since 2010, maybe more around the conclusion of the pool project, thereafter, coverages have been added up. 12% more coverage has been added. Did you get permits for the AC units?
AC units, when we modeled the whole house, that was all done, new, that was all complete.
Okay. Do the board members have any other questions?
My only other question is, if you have to move the generator to give more clearance to the house, I'm just concerned about access to the yard. How do people,
Moving the generator from where it's at, I have no idea.
But based on the testimony that was given, it's likely that you're going to have to move the generator because the window does sit
From what
there.
he's saying, to pass code, again, I don't know when. The other side of the house? Yeah, there's windows throughout the whole house.
theoretically, you could put it at the right rear of the house, even though you'd have to run the lines pretty far. If it had, for,
The right side of the house, you also have the AC unit
at the rear.
all the way towards the back.
If it's the only safe place to put it, it's possible. And you wouldn't need the side yard variance.
I think it would be really difficult to grant the side yard relief if we're sitting here today with the understanding that you're not going to have a place to put it on the side of the house.
Well, do we have to wait to figure out where he's gonna put it before we do anything, I would assume, right?
I think so.
Just for this permit or everything?
I think if the board is in agreement, and I'm gonna defer to you, Bruce, but I think if the board is in agreement that with the mitigation efforts, and I'm not speaking for everyone, but I'm just saying hypothetically, with the mitigation efforts in place, that we could agree to grant the lot and building coverage, we could hold on the side yard, because it might not be needed or necessary, and I don't think we should grant that relief if we don't actually know that the generator would go there. But I don't know if I necessarily want to deny it. How would we go about?
So are you, just so I understand, are you saying we would discuss voting on let's call it 2/3 of the application, right? Is that what you're saying?
That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Maybe.
Yeah, no, but that's what you're.
That is what I'm saying.
All right.
You said that there was an engineering plan of the dry well?
We have a copy.
I have a survey.
It was actually approved by Mr. Yeah, I don't have it in here.
Yeah, it wasn't part of our packet, so. I mean, I just want, as long as Mr. Disco reviewed it.
Been a while, so.
Okay.
Send it to board members, any kind of drainage plan.
I know you were just testifying about something that we didn't see. So, sorry. Oh, here we go. Here's something a little more. So you can see the generator here.
Can we mark,
That's what I was curious, is where you were putting the dry well, because the back is,
Yeah, no, we're actually gonna put it in.
has to be in the front. Yeah, I didn't, that's what I was trying to figure out. Let's go here.
Jen, was this part of the application record, or does it need?
Should have been, it's just it didn't make it with the packets.
Okay, so we don't have to mark it, though, or what?
I would mark it just in.
Okay. Then it's, A1 is a drainage plan dated December 11, 2023.
How many windows are alongside the house where the generator is?
You have the garage window, you have the wall window, and you have the kitchen.
The mitigation's accepted. That was basically my question, is that,
I remember the name, Mr. Michael Rodriguez, so, but again, it's dated, the revision was December, so it's 3 months ago.
right.
You don't remember 3 months?
I needed to refresh.
I would say that, I think what Jody said is probably a good idea, if that's acceptable legally, to do a partial, I don't know how that works.
Well, council just made a very good point, that it already exists, everything. So by not granting anything at this time, we're not holding them up from proceeding with any installation or building or, so I think we could also have them go back and figure out where they want to put the generator and decide.
The one thing I would say to that is, I'm not saying it would happen, but if it was not approved, you're making them wait to find out that piece wouldn't be approved. I'm not saying it won't be approved or it would be approved, but I'm just saying if it got turned down, you're making them wait 3 weeks, a month to find out that piece is gonna have to get turned down, which I assume then they have to do some type of work. Am I correct?
You're saying if it's turned down by the building department?
No, I'm saying if, when the decision's made on the other two pieces we're talking about here, if they're not approved, they would have to, whatever they would have to do, rip it out, fix it, put grass in. So we would be holding them up to know that piece.
Bruce, could we do a conditional approval based on the fact that they haven't gone through the application process for the permit, and that would then require evaluation by the building department, correct? To look at the application for the generator. Obviously, right now, we know it's not where it's supposed to be, and then based on those recommendations that this is what needs to be done to rectify that situation. And if that is done, then the conditional approval is, takes effect. Because they still haven't done the permit process for the
generator.
generator.
Yes.
So that.
Yeah, the other recommendation I can make is the board can vote on the two variances. Table the remaining variance. We won't do a resolution until we come back and vote on the final. And so 1/3 of it, so to speak, will still be pending. The other two will have been voted on, but no resolution will be done till it's complete.
Now, can they still go through the permit process? For the permit process for the generator?
Well, no, because you don't know where the generator's gonna be.
No, but the fact that they have to put the application in for the permit, correct? They haven't done that yet, because
The building department, before they review anything, has to get a zoning acquiescence of some sort. Right now, that process has never happened since the generator went in. So zoning won't be able to approve it. We could ask the building to look at it and judge whether where it is would be acceptable to them. I think the answer to that is no, based upon the testimony that it's only 12 inches, given that you need 18 inches minimum, and a window or any ventilation source is 5 feet. So where it is right now, we know it's not gonna work from a building department perspective. Can they relocate it somewhere else on that side to be 5 feet away from a window and 18 inches away from the house? Perhaps. And then we're looking at the 5-foot offset. If that's objectionable, or if the applicant doesn't want it there, then they have to relocate it to the rear where it could be compliant, no relief sought, but there'll be a cost to obviously relocate it. I mean, that's not a valid option. It's just,
What's the height of the fence? What is the height of the fence?
So if we don't vote on, and have a resolution, they can't get a permit for the dry well work until that resolution is, so they really couldn't even mitigate the stormwater until the whole thing is that how it would work? Or they could do it at risk and just,
Yes, that's true.
I don't know know where you're heading. If you're gonna vote yes on the lot coverage, they can move ahead with the mitigation. Anybody could do that at any time. There's no variance associated with the mitigation.
Kind of what my point is, if we are gonna vote, they can at least go ahead on that piece and leave the last piece until the building department tells us what the outcome is.
They might likely need, the building department also has to look at the, we'll call it the pergola, but it's an overhang of some sort. If it's attached to the house and it's a structural element, they might need a building permit for that. So the CO of that, or the certificates of acceptance, CA, would be based upon prior approval. So if there's a stormwater requirement for it, they're not gonna issue that until it's done. So you have a mechanism in place to guard against them not doing it. They'll have to do it. If that's what you're looking for, assurance, you know.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said. What are you proposing?
Right.
I mean, you could grant the relief from the generator, but you're knowing that it's gonna be rejected by the building department. So, if you're granting them at 6 foot, if they can put it somewhere else at 6, great. Not sure you can do it on that side with 8.5, you need a 1.5 foot and a 2-foot generator.
I just want to bring up one other point, is there is a structure that's been built with a roof on it that I am assuming the building department is not aware of it, and I would propose that any resolution would require that to be somehow approved and inspected by the building department to make sure that's safe, because who knows how that was built? Because nobody, unless there was plans submitted and the structure was checked, so I think that should be part of any kind of resolution as well, personally.
Does that require us to move from a zoning standpoint in order to get the building department out there?
Again, technically, zoning is a prior approval to the building department.
Right.
So technically, the building department is not gonna look at anything that zoning hasn't said it's okay. Since we know we're over on building coverage now, the zoning officer wouldn't be able to do that. So are they gonna spend the time, the building department, doing something that hasn't gotten the prior approval?
No.
You're asking, it's just, they don't wanna be in that position, because that's like the building department would be advised and consent on anything that somebody submitted. They want to avoid that. They're already strapped. They don't need additional things being looked at.
So this approval of the two items of the building coverage and the lot coverage, if we approve that and say, okay, it's acceptable for them to do this with the stormwater, mitigation, then the building department will then come out and determine whether what was built, even though it really shouldn't be there,
Right.
they would come out and say,
I presume they're gonna look at the
Approval, but-
attachment mechanism to the structure, footings and all of that, and if it's not good, then that will have to remediate.
So we're not approving the structure.
No.
We're just approving the
lot
underneath
coverage.
of the structure, in essence.
You're approving the coverages
Right.
which that
So I
structure
think
created.
that's what's on the table.
yeah.
It's the coverage. If it's built incorrectly, that should come out when it gets inspected.
And it will.
But they won't inspect it until we approve the coverage.
Right, but I do have to say that if it's built incorrectly and it has to come down, I would not be approving 30% building coverage. Okay, so like, right,
But they won't look at it without the lot coverage.
it's like a
Yeah, it's a
really
catch-22.
difficult position to be in because, you're supposed to get your approvals when you do work on your property before you do the work on your property. So I hope you now understand that moving forward. But that's difficult because I likely would not agree to the size of this structure, right? And the impact that it has on the property.
But the structure was there and you put a roof on it, or you
There was
knocked
a
down the old
pergola that
structure?
was taken.
So that was gone and you, okay.
Okay, I think with all that being said, what I think I'm hearing from the board is that you're willing to vote on the lot and building coverage, leaving the setback request out and tabling that.
As a condition? They have to come
Meaning-
back if it was improperly built?
So hard.
Mr. Bergen, is there a condition that could be presented for the building coverage that's subject to a conforming building department determination? And failing that, it would then,
Rescind the approval.
I'm trying
Yeah.
to solve Jody's quandary.
No, I don't see why not.
Appreciate that.
I mean, considering the board is getting this after it was built.
Yep.
So there were no approvals to build it. If it wasn't built properly, the board can then say that make the variance subject to it's gonna be subject to the permits, which will be subject in inspection. So if the inspection finds it's deficient, then the permit won't be issued, and so the variance will go away, I think, based on that.
That's the condition that would be put into the resolution?
Correct,
Yeah.
that all of the prior work is subject to getting appropriate applications and permits for the work, inspections and so on.
Is it that, or are you asking that the work that was done will be permitted as is?
Oh, no, I didn't think that's what,
Required adjustment, that you wouldn't have been voting in the affirmative.
Right. It's the latter.
Yeah, we certainly can put that more specific language in.
Okay.
And it's possible that if they determine that the generator can only be in the back of the house, be safely installed, they won't have to come back for a relief because it'll be compliant.
Correct.
You could judge, if the generator had to move to the back to where a grass area was, you would determine that to be de minimis, 2x3, doesn't contribute to a lot coverage variance again. That's the way I would view
You're
that,
already at
in light of what we're going through right now. If the board's gonna vote affirmatively in the lot coverage, I don't know that's the case. It's 5 of you, so.
Any other questions or comments from the board? Any members of the public present that would like to speak? Members of the public that would like to question the applicants? None. Members of the public that wish to speak on the application? None. Okay. Do we have a motion with the conditions as stated on the record? To approve the building and lot coverage variance.
I'll move to approve the building and lot coverage variance with the conditions as discussed.
I'll second.
Mr. Hochstein?
Yes.
Mr. Weckstein?
Yes.
Ms. Naparano? Yes. Vice Chair Cunningham?
Yes.
And Chair Cohen?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Have a nice evening. Motion to, any other business? Motion to adjourn?
Moved.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.